They thought he was just a senile old rancher they could rob. They didn't know he already had the receipts. On his 68th birthday, Harold's kids showed up with smiles on their faces and a plan to steal everything he built. 30 years of blood,
I don't
sweat,
trust any of
and
you.
Texas dust.
Come on,
300 acres
Harold.
of
We're
land
all
he'd
friends
turned
here.
from nothing
Let's keep
into
things
something
civil.
real.
Yeah,
They came
nothing
with
to worry
hugs.
about.
They came with, "We love you, Dad." They came with a knife behind their backs. But they forgot one thing. Harold Mitchell didn't
This gun has
survive
seen
3
many winters,
decades
but
in the
it's still
Texas
sharp,
hill country
ready
by
for
being
whatever's out there.
stupid. This is the story of how a 68-year-old rancher outsmarted his own children and taught them a lesson they'd never forget. October 2024, Hill Country, Texas. Harold woke at 4:47 a.m. Same time every day for 30 years. Didn't need an alarm. His body just knew. He swung his legs off the bed. His knees cracked. His back ached. 68 years old. Some mornings he felt every single one of them. But when he walked to the window and looked out at his land, none of that mattered. 300 acres stretched before him, rolling hills, cattle in the distance, the old windmill turning in the morning breeze, the barn he'd rebuilt twice with his own hands. This was his. Every fence post, every acre of dirt. He bought this land at 38. Broken fences, rotten buildings, dust everywhere. Sarah called him crazy. Then she grabbed a hammer and helped anyway. 30 years later, it wasn't just a ranch. It was their life. Sarah had been gone 4 years now. Cancer took her in 8 months. Every morning, Harold still reached for her side of the bed. Every morning, it was empty. He touched the wedding ring he still wore, hadn't taken it off in 43 years. Today was his birthday. 68 years old, his 3 kids were coming for dinner. First time all 3 would be there in almost a year. Harold smiled. It would be good to have the house full again, to hear voices besides his own and Rosa's. He had no idea they were coming to rob him. The day passed, like most days did. Harold checked on the cattle, fixed a fence section that came loose in last week's wind, helped Rosa clean up the house. Rosa had been with them 15 years. Started as a housekeeper, became Sarah's closest friend. After Sarah died, she stayed on. "You nervous?" Rosa asked. "About what?" "Your children coming. All 3, same time." Harold shrugged. "Should I be?" Rosa didn't answer. Just gave him that look, the one that said she knew something he didn't. They arrived around 6. One by one. Michael first. The oldest. 42. Black BMW that cost more than Harold's first house. Suit that probably cost more than his truck. Expensive watch. Perfect haircut. Michael was a real estate developer in Dallas. Talked about mixed-use developments and urban revitalization like he was saving the world. Dad. He hugged Harold like they saw each other every week. "Happy birthday. You look great." "I look old." "Distinguished. You look distinguished." Jennifer arrived 20 minutes later, the middle child, 39. White Range Rover. Blonde highlights. Pearl earrings. Designer jeans that probably cost $300. She lived in Houston with her husband David, a lawyer, and 2 kids Harold barely knew anymore. "Daddy!" She hugged him tight. Longer than necessary. "I've missed you so much." She was already dabbing at her eyes. Jennifer had always been the emotional one, or knew how to seem emotional. Harold was never sure which. Tommy showed up last. The baby. 35. Beat-up truck. Wrinkled button down. Hadn't shaved in days. Tommy was between opportunities. Had been for most of his adult life. Tried college, dropped out. Tried the military, washed out. Tried a dozen jobs, nothing stuck. "Hey, Pops, happy birthday. Thanks for coming." Wouldn't miss it. That was a lie. Tommy had missed the last 3 birthdays, but Harold didn't mention it. Roast beef, mashed potatoes, green beans, apple pie, Sarah's recipes, everyone. This is amazing, Dad. Jennifer took a bite, just like Mom used to make. That's the idea. Something was off. His kids were smiling too hard, laughing too loud. Jennifer kept glancing at Michael like she was waiting for a signal. Harold noticed everything. He just didn't say anything. Yet. So, Dad. Michael set down his fork, put on his business face. We've been talking, the 3 of us, about your future. Here it comes. Harold didn't know what, but he knew something. You've worked so hard your whole life, and now, with Mom gone, Michael paused, rehearsed sympathy. We think it's time you finally got to enjoy yourself. Enjoy myself how? Travel. See the world. You and Mom always talked about Italy. Jennifer jumped in, right on cue, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. You've earned it, Dad. Honestly, at your age, you really shouldn't be doing this kind of physical labor. It's not safe. What if you fall? What if something happens out here alone? We're doing this for your own good, Michael added. That's all we've ever wanted. Tommy nodded eagerly. You could finally go to Rome. The Colosseum. All that stuff. Sell the ranch, Michael said. Property values are through the roof. You could get $4 million, maybe more. He leaned forward. The salesman coming out. We've already found a buyer. Very motivated. We could handle everything for you, Dad. All the paperwork, the lawyers. You wouldn't have to worry about a thing. Harold looked at each of them. His children, the babies he'd held, now sitting here, lying to his face. That's a lot to think about, Harold said slowly. Relief washed across their faces. They thought they'd won. Thought the old man would just roll over. Let me sleep on it. Michael nodded. Of course. Take all the time you need. They had no idea what was coming. That night, Harold sat alone in the barn. The horses shifted in their stalls. The smell of hay and leather surrounded him. His kids had never cared about this ranch. Michael hadn't visited in 2 years. Jennifer called twice a year. Tommy only showed up when he needed money. And now suddenly, they all wanted him to sell. For his own good, Harold pulled out his phone. He wasn't great with technology, but he knew how to use Google. He typed Michael's name, added Dallas and real estate. The results made his stomach drop. Mitchell Development Group faces bankruptcy. Dallas developer owes millions to creditors. Real estate empire crumbles amid fraud allegations. Harold clicked the first article. Read it twice. Michael's company was broke. Not just struggling. Broke. Lawsuits. Liens. The words criminal investigation appeared twice. He searched Jennifer's husband next. David, Houston attorney disbarred for client fund misappropriation. Embezzlement. David had stolen money from his own clients. Lost his license 6 months ago. They'd kept it quiet. Then Tommy. Court records. $180,000 owed to a man named Victor Reyes, the kind of man who didn't file paperwork, the kind who collected debts with broken bones. Harold sat in the dark barn, phone glowing in his weathered hands. His children weren't worried about his health. They were drowning, all 3 of them, and they needed his ranch to save themselves. $4 million, split 3 ways, would dig them all out. They'd probably take a cut as a management fee. Ship him off to Italy where he couldn't see what they'd done. He made a decision. The next morning, San Antonio, First National Trust, a bank Harold hadn't visited in 15 years. After watching his brother's kids tear a family apart over money, Harold had kept his savings quiet for decades. Separate account, different bank, no paper trail. The banker pulled up his accounts. Current balance is $2.3 million, Mr. Mitchell, plus treasury bonds. Another $890,000, and the mineral rights holdings, roughly $400,000. $3.6 million. Nobody knew. I need to make some changes, Harold said, and I need a lawyer. Someone who knows about trusts and estates. Day 3. Margaret Chen's office. Estate lawyer. 30 years of experience. So your children want to steal your ranch to pay off debts they haven't told you about. That's right. And they think you're a confused old man with nothing in the bank. That's exactly what I want them to think. Margaret smiled. I can work with that. Day 7. Financial records spread across Margaret's table. Michael, $4.7 million in debt. 3 lawsuits. Federal investigation pending. Jennifer, husband disbarred. House 3 payments behind. Foreclosure starting in January. Tommy, $180,000 to Victor Reyes. The bruises on his face last month suddenly made sense. They need about $5 million total, Margaret said. Your ranch would cover it. Barely. What are my options? Margaret laid out 3 folders. Option 1. Confront them. Cut them off. Let them face consequences. Too easy. Option 2. Pretend to sell. Donate everything to charity. Watch their faces. Tempting. But it doesn't fix anything. Option 3. Play the long game. Let them think they've won. Then reveal everything at exactly the right moment. And give them a choice. What kind of choice? Change or lose everything. Harold picked up the 3rd folder. Day 10. Harold met his grandson Daniel at a diner halfway between Fort Cavazos and the ranch. 20 years old. Army lieutenant. Jennifer's oldest. The only one who visited without wanting something. Grandpa, is everything okay? I need to ask you something. And I need you to be completely honest. Daniel straightened. Yes, sir. Do you know what's going on with your parents? Daniel's face changed. Shame and anger flickered across it. I know enough. Tell me. Mom calls crying every week. Dad's in trouble. Bad trouble. They might lose the house. He paused. She mentioned the ranch. Said it would help everyone. And what do you think? Daniel met his grandfather's eyes. No hesitation. I think it's your ranch. You built it. They made their own mess. It's not your job to clean it up. Harold nodded. There was still honor in this family. November 15th. Harold called a family meeting at the ranch. He'd rehearsed the confused expressions, the hesitant agreement. He needed them to believe they'd won. They arrived together this time. United front. Dad, thanks for having us. I've made my decision. Harold let his voice quaver slightly. I'm ready to sell. The relief on their faces was almost painful. Michael actually hugged him. You're doing the right thing. I just have some conditions, Harold said. I want everything to go into a family trust for the grandchildren. Michael's smile flickered. A trust? I'm old. Don't need much. The rest should go to the next generation. That makes sense. Michael was nodding, but his eyes were calculating. The accountant will need full financial disclosure from everyone. For tax purposes. You understand. Silence. Michael was sweating. Of course. Whatever you need, Dad. December 1st. The ranch house living room. Harold had asked them all to come. Important family matter. Michael arrived first. Haggard, lost weight. His company was in receivership. His wife had filed for divorce. Jennifer next. No makeup, hair pulled back. The Houston house was officially in foreclosure. Tommy last. bruised knuckles, cut over his eye. Victor Reyes wasn't known for patience. They sat on the couch. Harold stood by the fireplace. Rosa served coffee. Daniel stood quietly by the door. "Thanks for coming." Harold's voice was calm. "Steady! I wanted to do this in person." He picked up the stack of folders from the table, handed one to each of them. "Open them." Michael opened his first. His face went white. Jennifer gasped. Her hands started shaking so badly she nearly dropped the papers. Tommy just stared, like he couldn't process what he was seeing. "That's everything," Harold said. "Michael, your bankruptcy, the $4.7 million in debt, the fraud investigation, it's all there." Michael couldn't speak. Jennifer. David's disbarment, the client funds he stole, the foreclosure. Jennifer was crying. Real tears. Not the pretty, controlled tears from the birthday dinner. Tommy. The $180,000 you owe Victor Reyes. The men who did that to your face. Tommy touched the cut over his eye. Page 12. My financial records. They flipped. Saw the numbers. $2.3 million. $890,000 in bonds. Holdings they never knew existed. "You thought I was just a simple rancher," Harold said quietly. "Dirt under my fingernails. Nothing in the bank. Too old and too confused to notice what you were doing." "Dad?" Michael's voice cracked. "How did you... You came to my birthday dinner and lied to my face. You said you were worried about my health, that you were doing this for my own good." He shook his head. "You were doing it for yourselves. You were going to take everything Sarah and I built, carve it up to pay for your own failures." "We were desperate," Jennifer whispered. "You could have told me the truth. Instead, you treated me like a fool. So here's what happens now." Harold picked up one more folder. "I've set up a restructuring plan for each of you. This isn't charity. This isn't a bailout. This is your last chance." He handed out the papers. "Michael, your legitimate debts will be paid from a trust. The fraudulent ones are your problem. You'll work with a financial advisor for 3 years. Complete the program, you can rebuild. Fail, you're on your own." Jennifer. David made his choices. "But your children didn't. I've set up education trusts for them. No one can touch that money. You'll receive a monthly allowance while you rebuild, but you'll earn it. 20 hours a week at the women's shelter in Houston." "Tommy, your debt to Victor Reyes is paid. As of this morning. But the gambling isn't the problem. It's a symptom. You'll go to rehab. 90 days. Then you come back here. Work the ranch. Learn what it means to build something. A third-party trustee oversees everything. Miss a step, the trust freezes automatically." "This isn't forgiveness," Harold continued. "I'm not sure I can forgive what you tried to do." He looked at each of them. His children. Broken. Humiliated. But still his. "But I'm your father. Your mother would have wanted me to give you one more chance. So I am..." He walked toward the door. Paused. "I love you. I've always loved you, even when you didn't deserve it." He turned back, looked them in the eyes. "But I'm done being your fool." He walked out, left them sitting in silence with the wreckage of their lies. The next weeks were the hardest since Sarah died. Michael called first. 3 days later, voice raw. "Dad, I'm sorry. I was drowning. I couldn't see any other way. You could have told me the truth. I was ashamed. I built my whole life around success, and it all fell apart. I couldn't stand for you to see me fail. Michael. I watched you fail at riding a bike, at Little League, at your first job. Watching you fail is part of being your father. It never stopped me from loving you." Silence. "Then, do you accept my terms?" "Yes, sir." I accept. Jennifer drove to the ranch unannounced. Harold found her on the porch steps, sobbing. No makeup, no performance. I'm a terrible daughter. He sat beside her, said nothing. I told myself it was for the kids, their future, but that was a lie. It was for me, for our lifestyle. She looked at him with red eyes. Mom would be so ashamed of me. Yes, she would. Jennifer flinched, but she needed to hear it. The shelter work isn't optional. You'll see women who've lost everything. Real problems. Maybe it'll teach you perspective. I'll do it. Whatever you want. I don't want obedience. I want my daughter back. Tommy was the hardest. He showed up 3 days later. Drunk. Angry. You think you're so much better than us? With your secret millions? I think I built something with my life. Can you say the same? Tommy lunged at him. Daniel stepped in from the hallway, had Tommy's arm twisted behind his back before the punch could land. Easy, Uncle Tommy. It took 20 minutes for the anger to burn out. What was left was just a scared boy in a grown man's body. Those men were going to kill me, Dad. You understand? Kill me. I know. Do you really think I can change? I think everyone can change. Question is whether you want to. 2 hours later, Tommy was in Daniel's truck, heading to rehab. 8 months later, June 2025, the ranch had never looked better. Fresh paint on the fences. New equipment in the barn. And for the first time in years, family everywhere. Michael came every other weekend. Lost the fancy suits. Learning to ride again. His new consulting business was small, but it was honest. I forgot how much I liked this, he told Harold one morning. The simplicity. In Dallas, everything was bullshit. Here, it's just real. Jennifer's kids spent the whole summer on the ranch, running through fields, learning to ride horses. Jennifer herself had changed. The shelter work had humbled her. I used to think I had problems, she said one evening. My problems were nothing. I was just too blind to see it. And now I'm grateful for everything, even for what happened, because it woke me up. Tommy. 90 days had turned into 8 months. He'd finished rehab, then asked to stay. Said he wasn't ready for the real world yet. Harold put him to work, dawn to dusk. Fixing fences, feeding cattle, the kind of labor that left you too tired to make bad decisions. I get it now, Tommy said one morning. Watching the sunrise. Why you love this place. Took you long enough. I'm sorry, Dad. For everything. I know you are. Do you forgive me? Harold thought about it. I'm working on it. Forgiveness isn't a switch, it's a road. But I'm on it, and I'm glad you're walking it with me. Evening, July. Harold sat on the porch. Daniel beside him. You really giving most of it away? Daniel asked. The money? Ranch goes to a conservation trust when I'm gone. Protects the land forever. Money goes to scholarships for rural kids who can't afford college. And the family? Enough for anyone who earns it. Graduate from something. Serve somewhere, build something. No free rides. Daniel smiled. Grandma would have liked that. It was her idea, actually. They sat in comfortable silence. The sun touched the hills. Orange, pink, purple. Grandpa, yeah, I'm proud of you. Most people would have just cut them off or bailed them out with no strings. You found a third way. Harold thought about the last year. The anger, the betrayal, the long nights. I almost didn't. There were nights I wanted to burn it all down. Let them figure it out alone. What changed your mind? Your grandmother. Every time I got close to giving up, I'd think about what she would say. Later that night, everyone asleep. Harold walked out to the barn one last time. The horses were quiet, the ranch was still. He thought about his father, a hard man who showed love through work and expectation. Harold had tried to be different. Tell his kids he loved them. Give them things his father never gave. Maybe he'd given too much, expected too little. I should have made them work harder, he said to the darkness. Made them earn things instead of handing everything over. He walked back to the house, bones aching, heart lighter than it had been in years. They thought he was just a senile old man they could rob. They were dead wrong. Some betrayals break you, others wake you up. This one woke him up, and that made all the difference. If you made it this far, you're one of the real ones. Drop a comment. Should Harold have cut them off completely, or was giving them one more chance the right call? And if this story hit different, smash that subscribe button. See you in the next one.